Titans issue 7, Tom Taylor writing and Travis Moore on the art. So Titans is focused more on the side of this event, which is the sort of where it came from in the first place, which is Brother Eternity and him being Tamaranian, and he's working with Garth, who's in Titans Tower, and that's kind of where this issue picks up. It's the Titans dealing with that threat, and you know, he's just Brother Eternity's just revealed that he's actually, was it Zal, I think was the name of the Tamaranian, and sort of even talks about how he's responsible for her parents' death because he lured them away so that the parents would be vulnerable and killable.
He's part of that Necrostar cult, right? And so when Exhal is the Tamaranian deity that you know that Starfire represents, and he's all about destroying Exhal. So that's what the Necrostar was, and that he sold them out for that piece that would, you know, that would get him.
Yeah, he got it from the Dominators and some other alien race.
And the Citadel. Yeah.
I think what's interesting to me about this is I'm like, okay, so he's basically Tamaranian Scientology. That's what I'm getting from this guy.
You said that. You said that just in case. I would just leave it at cult, you know. But you know. But yeah, so I also like that he tries to, you know, he infects Cyborg, and Cyborg hits him with a thing, and we have this body horror crawling into Cyborg, all for it to be for kind of nothing, because Cyborg still is a big processor, right? He's half man, half machine, and clearly it can't affect the machine. So it kind of just does nothing to him, which I did like. I like that twist.
Yeah, well, it's trying to, but Cyborg's basically able to fight it because some of the things that it's trying to connect to don't exist anymore.
Can't, right?
Yeah, so now you've got that. You've also got various monsters hunting down Barbara, who's inside the tower as well. Wally comes in and helps her. Nightwing's a fox. Remember that happened last issue in Titans, and they have to deal with him as well. Luckily, they deal with Garth because Raven shows up and sort of takes care of that. Actually, they push Garth into a chamber, which they then sort of take away all the humidity, so they basically dehydrate him as quickly as possible, which forces the parasite to come out. And then Raven just blasts it with magic. Raven's kind of a cold bitch in this issue, but for good reason, because she's obviously furious and distraught about the fact that Gar's been killed, seemingly. Right,
and this is because Brother Eternity would try to bring back the Necrostar.
Yeah.
The whole reason that and this all takes place between Beast World 4. So, you know, this is ramping up to
before that. You mean?
Yeah, sorry, I thought that's what I said.
You said this between, which didn't really make any sense.
No, this is before, yeah. And so she's the epitome of this time it's personal, right?
Yeah.
She's just taking all of these things out without hesitation.
She is on a warpath, and that sort of keeps going until she. You know, so we get the bit you were talking about before with Cyborg resisting the parasite and then just spitting it out. And then Starfire punches the shit out of him, which is satisfying because she obviously has a personal grudge. They've got Nightwing Fox in a bubble just to sort of keep him safe and so he won't hurt anyone.
Well, he's like, he was never going to turn into a cockroach, right? Even his fox self is kind of hot. I thought that was so funny.
That's just, who is it that says that? Is that Wally?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just Wally showing his furry side. That's all that is.
Should I put Foxwing down with the others? You know. And then we get an awesome Corey moment, right? Because he lunges at Corey, and they know that it's going to try to attract to her because she's the more powerful, right? And she bites it in half and spits it out.
The parasite. This is the
parasite. Yeah, that's right. The Garo spore. To where she says, I will not be enslaved.
There's a panel of the parasite coming out of the Nightwing Fox's mouth. You see it flying towards Starfire, and then the next page is just her biting down on the tentacles and spitting the rest of it out. And then wiping her mouth as if just to, like, you know, like, and she looks kind of evil on that, in a cool way, like in a cool kind of evil way. Like she's just something really badass. Like she doesn't give a shit anymore. So really fun. Nightwing turns back into Nightwing, and so yeah, we get actually there's a few. I was remembering the Raven moments more, but you're right. That's a cool moment for Starfire where she gets to be kind of a cool bitch. Raven gets a big one as well, where she goes to see Brother Eternity and opens up a portal, sends him away. He screams, and then she goes back to the rest of them, and they say, "What happened? Where is he?" And she's like, "He's in the Phantom Zone." Which, of course, Wally asked the correct question here. You can just do that? You could just send someone to the Phantom Zone? Because that's not necessarily tied to magic all that well, so that's something very specific you've been able to do now.
I mean, if she can transport, if she can teleport between dimensions, I don't see why the Phantom Zone would be off limits, right? Because as we've seen, it kind of is its own pocket dimension. However, how come she's been holding this back? Raven, you're very scary right now. You know, so if we end up on your bad side, you're just going to put us in the Phantom Zone? Like, oof.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because the last panel is her walking away saying, "We've got a world to go save, let's go." And the rest of them are all just looking at her like, "Oh shit, we're all kind of scared of her now."
Yeah. Oof. Because even Nightwing, you know, is kind of like, "Hey," and she responds, "He's caused untold pain and death. Now he's in purgatory. Don't concern yourself with the ethics of this." And so it's almost like she's gone straight, just like Dark Mom Raven, you know, like kind of this is what Trigon has wanted for her, you know, but it took her love of Gar being, you know, taken, right?
Yeah.
And becoming a starfish for her to really get into the depths.
I don't know if I would say she's already at the point that Trigon wanted, but she's definitely further on the path than perhaps she's been. And, like, yeah, it makes sense she'd go to a dark place after the death of the person she loves. So, you know, obviously there might be repercussions for this. This might be the start of her going down a darker path where maybe she keeps going closer and, or further and further into the darkness. Yeah. Or potentially if Beast Boy is back by the end of Beast World, maybe, you know, that kind of snaps her back out of it or something. But, you know, there's potential here to play with. I think I've kind of been very impressed with how the Titans book, these past 2 issues, has felt like a really good tie-in to the event, but also felt like it's doing its own thing, and that it's really playing up the Brother Eternity and the stuff that ties to Starfire, to the Tamarani and stuff, and tying to Raven because of her losing Beast Boy. It feels like it's doing some really specific cool character stuff for a lot of the Titans that feels really big. It doesn't feel like it's just spinning its wheels and doing event stuff because an event's on. It feels like this is all stuff that it'd be addressing anyway, because this is the stuff that it was doing in its run whilst also setting up Beast World. So I think Taylor's pulled off something really interesting and respectful here, where he's done something where it functions. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you could read this really without Beast World, because I still you feel like you'd been missing a big chunk because
you're missing beats, because
Titans did set all that up as well, so you'd feel like a lot of it wasn't in the book. But I think this feels very worthwhile on its own as well, in a way, because it's doing so much with the characters in a way that I think that tie-ins sometimes don't. It still feels like a solid issue of the ongoing book, whilst also feeling like Beast World's essential at the same time. And I think that's a very interesting thing to achieve with this dual, you know, writing going on.
Because this is not just the next chapter. This is stuff that builds into that story, that when there's payoff, it's going to feel worthwhile having read everything.
Yeah, because he could have easily done, you know, Beast World issue 1's part 1, and then Titans issue 7's part 2, and he didn't do that. Like he did something a bit more nuanced, because people who are just reading Beast World, if they just jumped into the event, can just read Beast World. But if you were reading Titans and you're still reading it during Beast World, you're getting so much more depth with what all these characters are going through in the background. So, yeah, really appreciate that. Travis Moore's art's very good. You know, lots of great looks. We mentioned that page with Starfire biting the parasite and spitting out and then wiping her mouth. That is all the art. If the art wasn't good, that moment would be anywhere nearly as cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love his Corey so much because she's between this issue and the last issue, Travis Moore has just delivered like the warrior queen version of Starfire that we've kind of been missing. And I kind of put that on the Teen Titans cartoon because it's this very like Corey's like this very silly kind of lighthearted character that's experiencing the world, and comic book Corey has a much more nuanced and texture like her backstory is very tragic, like they showed in the last one. So to see her get kind of these big moments and not just be the kind of happy-go-lucky silly character, it feels very nice.
Yeah. So, you know, we got badass moments, we got fun Fox Nightwing, some fun one-liners from Wally, and some big character beats in here for progressing the story. So this is a very good issue of Titans to go alongside the Beast World event, I think. So, yeah, I think it makes sense that you want to make sure the event is readable on its own, because there will be people who just jump into the event. But for people who are reading Titans already, Beast World will feel great. These issues of Titans will feel great. You know, it's kind of a win all round, and is a far cry from those World Tour one shots.
Yes. So,
excellent. What are you giving Titans?
I'm gonna use an 8.5.
Yeah, I think I'm in the ballpark of that. Yeah, I'll go with 8.5 as well. I think I agree with that. Cool.